YouTube, it's your girl Easy. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'm not really feeling my best right now. I am coming down with the fever, so I don't have too much energy today. But like Ms. Natural said, if you ain't dying, get over it, right? So I'm going to cover season 4, episode 8 today of Joseline's Cabaret. And this episode overall, I feel like it was okay, but given the subject matter of what happened, it could have been a lot better. I don't feel like it gave us, or at least me, what I wanted to see personally. And this episode was all over the place. It kept transitioning from the girls in the house and Joseline and the girls in Miami. So I'm not going to cover this episode scene by scene like I normally do. I'm just going to group the same scenes together, how I feel like it should have been told. So we open this episode with the producers telling Lucky to pretend to scroll on her phone and wait while we make Daisy call you, basically. And Daisy says she's on her way back. Now, when she gets back in the house, her and Lucky start having a conversation of what happened. And basically, Daisy says that she assumes that people have been gassing Egypt up while she's out of the house. I don't feel like the girls have been gassing Egypt up. I feel like Egypt has been gassing herself up. But everybody knows, like, Daisy isn't the person you want to pick on because she's just not a fighter. So it just didn't make sense. But, Daisy believes that she is a fighter. She still wants to fight Egypt. She said, if not today, not tomorrow, well, someday, But I don't think it's a good idea for her. She's going to get beat up again. And she's still recovering from her injury. So I think maybe Daisy, you could probably try to sneak her when the show's over, if you feel so inclined. But I still feel like Egypt should just apologize to you and just clear the air so we could get over this. Next, we have the scene with Egypt and T-Love outside having a conversation. So T-Love admits that her and Wet Wet made up off cameras and away from everybody else, just the two of them, and she was able to learn what Wet Wet is going through in her life and with her family, which I assume Wet Wet probably brought up her kids. And I'm getting some hints that maybe one of Wet Wet's children is special needs, mainly because T-Love talks about having compassion and empathy for Wet Wet because of all the stuff that she's going through at home. So my guess is that is what's been bothering Miss Wet Wet. Hopefully we'll find out more in the next episode. And now Egypt is still on the whole situation with Daisy, saying that her and Daisy can be cordial, but there's no making up and that there's beef forever, which I feel like Egypt is just wrong for that because the beef between her and Daisy isn't even real. I don't feel like it's over something so small. And if you felt like Daisy was being messy and was trying to maybe ruin your friendship with T-Love or whatever, it's like you guys are still friends. And T-Love is going to say that you and her are cool enough to correct each other when the other person is wrong. So at this point, I don't feel like Daisy should even be a worry thought in your head. And I don't think Egypt is being an adult about the situation. I feel like you can apologize to Daisy for punching her. And Daisy can apologize to you for going behind your back and trying to do this. And that should be the end of it. Next is Precious, Spin, and Holiday's turn to have a conversation. And Precious is basically asking Holiday why she wasn't drinking at the party last night. And Holiday, she starts crying and gets into the story of how she was leaving her strip club one night and she was driving drunk to go to an ex's house and fix their situation. And she crashed her car into a lamp pole. But in the middle of that, she also ran somebody over and she didn't realize that she hit someone. And you can see that it's still eating her up and she feels really bad. And I feel like the family of the person that she hit was too generous because they just let her get away with rehab and house arrest and community service. That couldn't have been me, but kudos to that family for having the heart to forgive someone who just killed your loved one. Holiday is really lucky that that's all that she had to do. We now get to the scenes where the girls are rehearsing for the show later that night. And Ms. Natural is sick. She's been throwing up all morning. And I don't know why I didn't notice where Joseline has her microphone the first time around, but she's just a clown. I feel like the rehearsals went terrible, but they leave the dance studio and start making their way to the arena where they're still practicing and Ms. Natural is still trying to get the girls together. And let me tell you, Andrea is a nervous wreck, okay? from one nervous wreck to another. Just look at the way that she is standing. Miss Natural is trying to talk some sense into Andrea, and Andrea is just like frozen, just like Andrea was crying about being timid on the private jet, but as you can see, that's not going to go anywhere. That's just how she is for the rest of her life, probably. So then we cut to the girls back at the house having another party. And it's like a sexy lingerie slumber party. And let's have some fun and rate some of these outfits. So first we have T Love in her little pink one piece. For me, it's not giving lingerie. I feel like I could wear that to like South Beach or something. So I'm gonna give her a 6 out of 10. We then have Holiday. She's wearing like the nude see-through one piece with some nude panties on and the pasties. I think she looks great. I'm gonna give her a 10 out of 10. Next is Precious, and she's wearing like this bodysuit with floral patterns on the side. And it's long, but I like that it exposes her shoulders. So I'm gonna give her a 9 out of 10. Then we have Abby. I don't know why, but I feel like this is like lingerie, like a housewife from like the 50s would wear. She paired it with like the cute little mask thing. It's cute, but I feel like she could have came like sexier. She could have came harder. So I'm going to give her a 5 out of 10. We then have Spin with like the black one piece and the pasties, which actually I don't like the color black on her because this whole time we've just been seeing her wear like different colors. So I just wish it was a brighter color. But she makes up for it though with her heels that light up different colors. So I'm gonna give her an 8 out of 10. We then have Egypt with the pink bodysuit and a new wig install. But she looks great. She looks beautiful. She looks like a Barbie. So she gets a 10 out of 10 from me. We then have the lovely Miss Wet Wet with the cat ears and the butt plug tail. I like the top and how it's like bedazzled, but I don't like the bottom leggings. You know, Miss Wet already has like really slim and long legs, so I don't think these leggings suit her. If they were like shorts or something, she would have looked a lot better. But I'm gonna give her a 7 out of 10. Next we have Lucky. She really is giving lingerie, and I like the feathers, the red jewels on her face, and her makeup. She's my favorite look, and I love the red. It really suits her. Lucky can really wear like reds and purples and pinks. I'm gonna give her an 11 out of 10. Then lastly, we have Daisy. Now she definitely looks good in black, and I just love how she kept it simple. Now the sunglasses, like I understand why you're wearing them, but they're not even really covering up your face and your scar like that. So I could do without the glasses. So without the glasses, I'm going to give Daisy a 10 out of 10. So now that the girls have their food and their drinks and they start mingling, Egypt makes her way around the table to come stand next to Daisy to grab something, right? I feel like Egypt is definitely trying to test the waters out a little bit, but like being really awkward about it. Like you can at least like acknowledge the girl, say, "Hi, Daisy. How are you?" Whatever. And Daisy's just kind of standing there trying to prove that she's not scared, but she's a little scared. But personally, I would, if I was Daisy, kind of take this as an intimidation tactic. Like if you're coming to stand next to me knowing that we have a problem, but you're not acknowledging me, then I would take it as like you're trying to intimidate me, basically. The cameras are really focusing on T Love and Wet Wet and their situation, and they're talking about how they made up off camera. And I don't know if y'all caught that, but T Love was definitely being shady when she says she's not being shady, because immediately right after, she still makes a dig at Wet Wet and her wig, saying that she's going to get a new wig for Wet Wet. And you can hear Wet Wet, she's just like, okay. I just wish this scene was shot a little bit different so we could get more of Wet Wet's face and her reaction while T Love is talking. But T Love and Wet Wet end up hugging anyways. So now, the moment that we have all been waiting for, we finally get to the performance. We have waited 8 episodes for this, and then I feel like we barely get the performance, right? So I'm looking around, and the arena, it looks like half full. I don't think it's quite empty, but you know, you can clearly see there's still some seats empty. And shout out to Danny, because Ricardo did say that she was the only one that didn't mess up. Back in Long Island, the girls are watching through the TV and they're so happy, they're cheering, and randomly Wet Wet just takes her clothes off. Which is what we all could have sworn that Precious was gonna do, but Wet Wet beat her to it. So now we get through the performance, and somehow, instead of focusing on performing well, right, Joseline still sees Big Lex in the crowd. Like, she should have focused on her vocals because she sounded horrible. And I definitely think that she popped something or sniffed something because she's just wilding out instead of celebrating the performance that she just had. And I don't think it was a good idea to take anything before your performance because you were dancing way better in the rehearsals. But Ballistic is trying to calm her down, which works for a little bit because then they go back to their green room and Joseline and Yummy start reviewing the performance on her cell phone. And Joseline is giving Yummy her flowers, basically. She calls Yummy her brain and thanks her for keeping the energy on stage that she needed, which Joseline says that she's surprised, but honestly, I'm not surprised because like I said from like my review in the first episode, like I knew Yummy was that girl. Like Yummy's a little weird, but I can just tell. To me, she is the best dancer because her energy is always at 100 and she has fun while she's dancing. Now, Yummy always has her tongue out when she's dancing. But I'm not going to get on her for that. And then we get Joseline making Yummy her dance captain. And she basically tells Yummy that she's going to have to find a way to get along with Miss Natural, which is going to be tough because Miss Natural already made herself the dance captain and she hates Yummy. So I don't think Miss Natural is going to take that very well. And I don't think Yummy is going to be able to lead the girls in the house because they don't respect Yummy. They already respect Miss Natural. We then get to the big brawl that's happening in the arena. And so apparently it started with Gotti's and Mayweather's peoples fighting each other. And y'all know how energy works, right? So if you see a group of people fighting, you might catch that energy and want to start fighting yourself. And clearly we can see here that Zeus Network was out there recording how this all started. So you would have assumed that they would have showed us how the fight between Joseline and Big Lex started, right? But instead, they decided to show us cell phone footage, which we all already saw on Twitter. So it's definitely, I feel like, a wasted opportunity on Zeus's part for ratings and views, because everybody was looking forward to this episode and to see what new information Zeus Network could have provided us with. And mind you, Joseline didn't get arrested for assaulting Big Lex. And then they have the audacity to pick somebody's cell phone footage that didn't even have the best angle. Like, I was just so disappointed. But we first see Big Lex getting picked up by this man. I don't know who this man is, but he basically picks her up and puts her on like this box and sits her down, which honestly is like the setup for everything else that's about to go down. Big Lex has already been fighting, like her wig is gone, her outfit is already torn up, but sitting her down on this box just made her get jumped even worse. So Joseline starts to run up on her and kind of like puts her in like this hold or this lock. And Ballistic is trying to get Joseline to calm down, which he's failing, right? But he's gonna manage to get Joseline off of Big Lex and then just starts yelling at her, calling her stupid, calling her the B word. And it looked like at one point Ballistic put his hand up and then Big Legs had her heels, right? So she was like swinging at everybody with her heels. And she like takes one swing at Ballistic and then Joseline, of course, gets upset again. But then Ballistic turns around at Joseline and starts yelling at her to calm down. You could just see Ballistic, like he's like on something too because his eyes just get like so big. They're popping out of his face. And now he's even yelling at Joseline, so you know he's really upset. So Big Leg gets up, she manages to start walking out of the building, but Joseline still catches up behind her. And Zoo Security at this point has not done a single thing. They haven't done a single thing. They're acting like as if Big Legs wasn't once a part of the network and a cast member that they know and have stopped her from fighting before. And more people just keep jumping in, and then poor wheelchair guy, he is just trying to roll away as fast as possible. It takes a random white man to help Big Legs get up from the floor. And you can see Joseline, she's still there just staring at her. And finally, Big Legs is able to get up and walk away. Now she has red spots like all over her body. Like she has to be in some serious pain, but it doesn't seem like she has visibly broken anything. Like she's able to get up and walk just fine. Now she probably has some internal injuries going on inside, but we just won't know because Big Legs hasn't come out and said anything. Now, speaking of injuries, Melissa gets hurt real bad. They even blurred out her face, but you can see her with like rags and towels trying to wipe her face off, and the rags are just bloody. So it must have been really bad. And Joseline is crying and she's apologizing to Melissa. But I don't really see the need to apologize. Like, if Melissa decided to jump in on her own accord, then that was her decision, right? And Miss Natural is just sitting on the couch because she has her injury from before, I'm assuming when they were dancing, because Miss Natural says she didn't jump in and that she doesn't jump people. And she's not going to jump Big Legs because they're friends, like not the best of friends, but cool enough. And then Danny also somehow broke her leg. She didn't really say how. I guess she just said she took 3 steps and then she fell. But somehow she managed to snatch Big Lex's wig off and then has the audacity to put it on. Like, that is just so unhygienic and disgusting to me. I don't know why she did that. And I hope it's not the same wig that she's been wearing this whole time in her confessionals. It wouldn't be the first time that somebody on Zeus Network has worn another cast member's hair after fighting with them. And so they also got the recording. Joseline starts looking at the recording of the fight on her phone. I don't think Yumi jumped in because she is just totally uninjured, but she's having a ball reviewing the footage with Joseline. She's like reenacting the fight, and then Joseline is telling her to shush. She is so funny to me. But then Joseline clearly hasn't had enough. Ballistic is trying to keep her in the room because now he has to go outside and talk to the officers that showed up. And you can see Ballistic has like a giant red spot on his forehead. Big Legs got him real good. And Melissa. But Ballistic is trying to get Melissa to get Joseline to stay in the room, which is insane because Melissa needs medical attention, but then she has to stand there and babysit Joseline. And Joseline done started all of this and she has no injuries, but everybody else around her is hurt. Like, that doesn't make sense. But even through all of this, it seems like Melissa still loves Joseline because she is standing at the door trying to block Joseline from leaving. And so is Danny with her one leg. Like, Joseline could have easily snatched these 2 ladies away from the door, but she didn't, and Melissa and Danny end up moving out of the way. So Joseline gets out and meets the officers outside. She's going off on the officers. She's going off on Ballistic for letting the officers touch her. And of course, she's upset that the officers are white. They should have sent the black officers to come arrest Joseline. They could have sent some Puerto Rican officers to come arrest Joseline. But she's saying to Ballistic, how could you let that white man touch me? And Ballistic is like, he didn't touch you. Go back inside. And he's just getting frustrated at this point. So he literally has to pick her up and throw her back in the room. And then in this tiny short clip, it seems like Joseline even went as far to swing on Ballistic. And Ballistic has his arms up like this, trying to deflect it. And even security all have their arms out, trying to deflect it too. Like, Joseline, why are you swinging on your own husband, man? But we all know that Joseline ends up getting arrested anyways for assaulting the police officers. I hope they show that next episode. That's the least that they can do after the flop of this episode, in my opinion. And I want to get the behind the scenes, okay? Not the body cam footage that already came out and that everybody already saw. I want everybody's reaction. I want Ballistic's reaction. But from the previews, it just doesn't seem like next week's episode is going to be a good episode. I could be wrong because, you know, they've been showing us previews and then the next episode comes in that we don't see those clips from the previews in the episode. So at this point, I stopped trusting the previews. But in the previews for next week, we get the continuation of Daisy and Egypt going back and forth at the party. And it looks like Miss Wet Wet is trying to stop it. I don't think they're going to fight because I feel like they would have shown us that in the previews. So they're just having a heated argument. We then get Miss Wet Wet in Egypt having a conversation. I think this is the part where she says that her child is special needs. That's if I heard correctly and if the captions are correct, because the captions are wrong like half the time. But it was a little hard to hear in this scene. And then we're going to get some argument between Precious and Holiday because now Holiday is crying and Egypt is trying to comfort her. And then they start kissing on the bed. So it looks like next episode is going to focus more on the girls in the house. Because at this point, half of them all have drama with each other. And there's going to be a lot of drama and a lot of tears. So that's my review for episode 8. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you to the people that have been subscribing to my channel. And I will see you next week for episode 9. Bye!